Hi, this is Pat Duckworth, the hot woman with cool solutions and the author of the #1 international best-selling book, Hot Women Rock, How to Discover Your Midlife Entrepreneurial Mojo. And to celebrate the launch of the audiobook, I'm talking to the wonderful women who shared their stories in the book. And today I am talking to Liberty Forrest. And Liberty is a spiritual arts consultant who uses her psychic abilities to assist people in getting unstuck and moving forward in their lives. She's also a medium and connects clients with loved ones in the spirit realm. She's a Huffington Post contributor and an award-winning author of inspirational and self-help books. And when I met Liberty, it was earlier this year in San Diego. And Liberty sort of spent many years in Canada, but she's also been living in the UK on and off. And when I saw her in February, she was just desperate to move back to the UK, but couldn't work out how. But she's such a brilliant manifester. I'm so pleased to say she's living back in the UK now. So welcome, Liberty. How are you settling back in?
Carefully. And wonderfully. I'm so excited. I can't quite believe this has happened. But as you said, I am quite the manifester. So here I am.
Who'd have thought back in February? I'll just tell that sweet story that I was told that Liberty was very homesick for the UK, and I bought her a little gift in the gift shop in Heathrow, and it came in a lovely little bag, had Union Jacks and things on it. And so I couldn't wait to meet her. And as soon as I met her, I gave her this bag and she just burst into tears.
Yeah, I saw the Union Jack bag and I burst into tears, and you looked a bit horrified. And everyone around me, I think, was a bit stunned. And you said, "Oh, wait till I don't think you want to see what's inside." So, when I finally did peek inside, there was a beautiful journal, and all over it were little bobbies and double-decker buses and red phone boxes. And yeah, but you made me promise not to cry, and you would give me a Harrods bag.
Yeah.
So I went, okay.
I've never bribed anybody with a
I could have a Harrods bag. It had been many years since I had one.
So let's just go back a bit, because when I did meet you there, you were, I know you've had loads of pivot points in your life. We could talk about so many, but let's just go back to that one earlier this year when I first met you, and you were just trying to decide what you were going to do next. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, I knew sort of generally what I was going to do next. I just hadn't quite worked out how. For the previous, I don't know, handful of years at least, I had been working, doing, working on things like online training and webinars and that sort of thing. I knew my purpose was about helping people to transform their lives. Now, I wasn't liking that delivery system, but I was sure that that was the best way to fulfill my purpose. So sort of head down, don't think about it, don't feel about it, just do it. But it didn't really feel good. And in the previous months, just before I met you, actually, I knew that I really needed to bring my creativity back into my work somehow. I used to sell a lot of paintings. I love writing. That's a massive passion for me. I love writing music, writing songs, that sort of thing. And I knew somehow I needed to be creative again in my work, but I hadn't figured out how. So a few days at that seminar where I met you in person. We'd known each other prior to that, but I sat for 3 days listening to all these speakers talking about how you have to have passion. You have to, work was about passion. And I sat there thinking, well, I'm passionate about the outcome, about my purpose, fulfilling my purpose, and seeing people have that light go on and transform their lives. I love that. But I opened my mouth. I don't know who it was I said this to, but I remember opening my mouth and, you know how sometimes words just fall out? And I found myself saying, oh my goodness, I absolutely hate the idea of doing webinars and online training. And then I went, literally, I slapped my hand over my mouth and I sat there and I thought, well, then I can't be doing this. I knew right then and there, now that I'd allowed myself to say how I really felt about it, I had to do something else. I was never going to be as successful as I wanted to be, or as happy as I should be, doing what I was doing. So
sometimes you have to say that out loud, don't you? I think that's why it can be so useful working with a coach or a therapist, because when you say the words out loud, it just makes such a difference to the way you perceive them.
yes, and actually, that's something I do for people too when I'm working with them. It is help them to find their own purpose and pursue their passions and be more who they're meant to be. That's what I do. And there I was. But again, like I said, I was focusing on my purpose, not on my passion. I was passionate about the outcome. And it took that moment to understand that I meant to use my passion to fulfill my purpose. So 3 days after that, I had my first of a bunch of creative ideas that popped into my head about how I can use my love of art and music and writing in some combinations to do the same thing, to fulfill that purpose.
Yeah, I remember you sending me Facebook messages and saying, I've had this really brilliant idea. What do you think about this?
Oh, and here's another one. What about this? Oh, here's another one. Wait, it's even bigger now.
And I love new shiny things. So hearing somebody else's new shiny things is brilliant.
And it felt so wonderful because in the years, well, several years ago when I first was living in England, and the world opened up to me when I came here, and I got to really be me, being me, for a lack of a better way to put it. And I started painting, and within weeks was selling my paintings for lots of money, which was shocking. And that's when I started really getting serious about writing and all sorts of other things. And everything just kind of opened up, and I felt like I was blossoming. And then when my life turned around so that I had to start really seriously looking at how am I going to support myself, and that's when this other sort of turn happened. And there was no joy in my life anymore. It was just all work. I mean, I loved helping people, but I felt bogged down and unhappy, and it was a chore to be working on the stuff that I was doing. It didn't feel good. There was no creativity. That lights me up. Being creative, I can be up all night painting and writing, and I feel great. It just invigorates me. But having to be bogged down with, creating webinars and just no, not me.
So you're back in the UK with us, Liberty. Our gain, Canada's loss, and you're starting to build up again here. So what's the sort of projects you're involved in now?
Well, I'm I'm back to doing some of the psychic and mediumship things, but I will not do predictions, because that, as I discovered, is very disempowering for people. They tend to just want to hear the answer. They want to hear when it's going to get better. They don't want to do anything to make it happen. So I use my abilities to help them see where they're stuck. I kind of tune in, and I can see where the obstacles are. I can help them to, and also with my background as a social worker and counselor, I can help them to become unstuck, I guess is the best way to put it. But I don't do, a reading as people usually think about them. So that's one thing I'm sort of doing. But my main things right now are books. So I'm co-writing the first in a series of 7 books with the brilliant Frank Moffat, who, yes, big yay, love him to bits. And so he gives me the bones for the story, and then I blow it up and turn it inside out. And so that's my main project right now, and I'm really thrilled about it.
Frank's lovely because he doesn't take any prisoners when he's coaching. No. Don't mess with Frank. But
I remember him telling me at the beginning of that, he said, "I'm going to make you cry." And I said, "No, you won't." Well, he was right. But it's okay, because it's all been for my benefit.
He really kicks you up the ass, doesn't he?
Oh, yes. Yeah. But it's all good.
And he's got so much knowledge and experience. So that's the other thing, really. I mean, no matter who you are, if you're a coach yourself, if you're a mentor yourself, you still need other people to help you with your stuff.
Yeah, because we're inside the box. We can't really see what's going on for us. Like I couldn't. And I don't know how many people kept saying to me, you should just be writing. You should just be writing. You need to be writing. You need to be writing. Or the odd other thing. Why aren't you painting anymore? Why aren't you making music anymore? And I just kept saying, well, you know, what would you tell your daughter if she came home and said, I want to marry a writer / artist / musician? You'd be like horrified. So, I bought that. I bought into that belief that that's not what I should be doing for my living.
Mm.
And that just made me really unhappy and sucked all the joy out of my life. So now I'm happy and I feel like a little kid again, and it's brilliant. It's too much fun.
Excellent. Another coach once said to me, you can't think outside the box because you've got everything inside your box. To see what's outside the box, you need somebody else.
Right.
They tell you what's outside the box, and then you can decide whether you want it in your box.
Yeah.
I thought actually, how can you think outside your box when all your thoughts are in your box?
Right.
So you need other people who go, hey, look what's in this box. And they, oh, I like what's in that box. I want some of that box.
Yeah, well, the box, when the box is closed, it's dark in there.
Let's leave the whole box thing.
Yeah, so you can't see anything because it's dark in the box.
So this is Pat Duckworth, the author of Hot Women Rock, talking to co-author Liberty Forrest. And Liberty, you've mentioned your purpose and your passion a couple of times. And, you know, in the model of neurological levels, your purpose, your passion is that thing which is bigger than you. It's the chief executive of your own organization. So when do you think you first started getting clarity on what your purpose was?
I think it was always there, only I didn't know it, because even back when I was quite young, and well, I had an extremely turbulent childhood, as many people do, with lots of abuse and all that sort of misery, and as I was coming out of that and still living the effects of it in a big way, I look back now and I can't believe how many people were excuse me, coming to me for a kind words, a shoulder, some kind of help. And I always refer to that as the severely visually impaired leading the blind. You know, I might have been like a half a centimeter ahead of them only because I could offer a word of compassion or understanding. But I certainly was still in the soup myself. And it took decades of chipping away at it before I sort of finally really started to see. But going back as far as I can remember, people were always coming to me for some sort of advice, help, guidance, direction, something. And I always found myself falling into those sorts of jobs or volunteer positions where, you know, I was a social worker. I know people laugh about that, but a lot of social workers have come from those difficult backgrounds because we understand, and you want to make a difference because you really understand that suffering. And I became a hypnotist for the same reason, and a homeopath, and I'm an intuitive healer, and do all these other things. But everything I've done has just been driven, I guess, to want to help people. I want to make a difference because I know what it is to suffer, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, to feel lost and to not know where you're going, to be suffering in some way. And I know how it feels when that stops and the light goes on and you get those answers you were looking for. So,
So how do you help
to do that?
Yeah, how do you help other women find their passion? Just quickly, if there was some tip that you could give to another woman at midlife who's thinking of making a change, how do they find their passion?
What do you really, really love? If you take away what other people expect, demand, need, or want from you to, you know, whatever it is you think you should be doing, what is it that you love? What lights you up? What's the thing, if you could just get up every morning and do that, what would that thing be? It might not be one thing. For me, it took a while to figure out that it's not just about writing. That's my main thing, but it's about being creative.
Yeah.
So it might not be one thing, but that's the thing. You get up in the morning, what would you do every day if you could, with everything else aside?
Yeah, I think that's so important, that creativity piece, because when we're creative, it's like we've gone back to our child brain, you know, and we've got so much functionality. And somebody once said to me, don't think about having a business. That's kind of an acquisition mindset. Think about creating a business and think about what you're creating within that business. And on the days when stuff seems hard, I think, what can I be creating today? You know, what can I create that's going to make a difference and create something that's in line with my purpose? So yeah, I love that creativity is just part of what you do.
Well, we're creative beings. That's what creation is. That's what the whole universe is. It's about creating all the time. You know, the earth is always creating and growing and changing, and that's who we are as well. That's a natural part of us. So it's when you stifle that, however that looks, and people often think, oh, the word creativity doesn't apply to me because I don't paint or I don't draw. It's not about that. People, it's whatever you're creating in your life. What is it you're creating in your surroundings? As you said about creating a business, it might be that you're really good at creating ideas or organization or all sorts of other things that don't have to do with art.
Yeah.
But we are creative beings, and that's where we find what our passions are, is in what do I want to create.
Yeah, love it. So Liberty, if anybody watching wants to contact you or find out more about you, what can they go and have a look at?
They can go to my website, which is libertyforrest with 2Rs.com. Can find me all over Facebook and social media and that sort of thing, usually with the same name or some version.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for talking to me this afternoon. And
Thank you.
it's always a pleasure. And thank you for watching. Keep watching out for these interviews. I'm just talking to so many wonderful women. I am loving it. And I hope you're enjoying it too. And if you want to get your audio version of Hot Women Rock, now you don't even have to read it. You can have it read to you. You can have all those wonderful stories read to you. You can look for that on amazon.com or .co.uk, wherever you are. Thank you and see you again soon.